Let's bring in an academic and school principal, Ofentse Molefe, to speak to us about the significance of such a day, especially for school-going children or learners in South Africa. Ofentse, a very good evening to you. Now, before we talk about the young'uns, as they say, I'm going to quiz you. What was your first memorable favorite book? And when we talk about now in your adult life, what would you say it is?
My first memorable adult book, I think, would be Goosebumps, mainly because it was a trend back in the day, and I think it was like very gory, as I enjoyed that series of books back in the day. But it wasn't like first. Foundational, we all know New Wave, but I don't know precisely which one. But present day, my favorite book is What I Know for Sure by Oprah Winfrey. It just expresses how her experience have fueled her into reflecting as to how far she's come, her resilience, her connection with others, and basically just how she's learned from that and basically how it has shaped who she is.
And you've just made the point that books are transformative, they're powerful, and this is why we need to ensure access to reading material, because we know how expensive it is. I love books. Honestly, I do not spend a day without reading a book, but the expense of it. So it's very difficult to inculcate a culture of reading and a love of books. How do we circumvent these challenges?
I think on a school level, Tiffy, it's so hard because the priority isn't books. It is academic success, yes, but it isn't books. But I think what we've done is that we've bridged the gap in saying that let's rather donate books, because we know that in our households there are books lying around. Like you've said, you can't go a day without reading. You could donate those books to your local school, and they can start a tradition of reading. And it can start as small as a mobile library, because we are very well aware that in as much as we have libraries in our communities, not all of our townships and our certain suburbs as well, they don't have access to those libraries, or even if they are libraries, they aren't as functional. So I think what our school has done is that we've started a mobile library where we're just donating. Parents are able to donate, and then from there we're going to then start encouraging or even emphasizing the need to read, because that has kind of been overtaken by technology.
And, you know, I was just thinking when I was reading the list of authors that were being memorialized for this day, not a single African writer that really grabbed my attention. It actually upsets me quite a bit. So I want to go to an important issue, that of publishing, and not just publishing at an affordable level, but in our vernacular languages. So I'm happy to crowdfund with someone, and we try and buy books for the local schools. But how do we get that kind of movement going as well? Because I sometimes find that unless you enjoy it or you understand it, people don't really understand the importance and the role that books play. It goes beyond entertainment. It's obviously educational, but there's so many other roles as well.
Yeah, and you've said something so potent. I think already on an English level, people are not motivated to read, and what more on a vernacular level. But I think it really goes with prioritizing. And by that, I mean, if a school's second or first additional language is isiZulu, for example, there needs to be balance. And not only does it give recognition to our African authors, but it also diversifies reading. You know, we in school were told that we were told that you need to read in Afrikaans, you need to be able to present an oral in Afrikaans, and same goes with English. But then I think, honestly, it also has to be fostered in the home. If we aren't, as parents, incorporating reading within the household, how are we going to bridge the gap of even vernacular languages being spoken in our homes, yet alone in our schools. We're unable to even understand where the trouble is with learning new languages if we don't take autonomy as parents in saying, we're going to start a reading culture within our homes, and this is the expectation. And in that way, scholars are able to take autonomy over their work. There's a sense of independence. There's a sense of, like you say, interest starts to build if they start to personalize reading, not only for learning or not only as something that can be restricted in school, but also that can be explored at home as well.
And it's interesting as I'm listening to you say that, because there are people who actually believe that they don't like reading. And this is just me. Maybe I'm just forcing my own beliefs on people. But I often find that if reading is not a goal, I think there are different tastes, as you mentioned, that as long as it grabs your interest, people can get into it. So it's not just a problem-solving tool or something to get you employment, but it can engage you in various spheres and empower people to even become innovators. So how do we get together as civil society, as communities, as government, as business, to support each other, raising literacy levels?
You know, it's interesting that you say that, because I was talking to a friend and they said that the reason why they don't read presently, well, the fact that they can't spell stems from them not being able to, wanting or having the drive to read, because it wasn't fostered within her primary school. And for me, that really got me thinking to say, how has our foundational learning, where have they lost in terms of ensuring that reading just becomes a part of the cycle? And how then do we then start to have a conversation around reading? And it's going back to the curriculum. It's saying that are we spending more time reading, even foundationally, because we understand that the hours that are put into delivering instruction in the classroom are not as sufficient, but it's saying foundationally, are we putting in the time to assess whether, firstly, scholars are reading, how they're reading, are they enunciating, pronunciating properly, but also, let alone bridging the culture, or even balancing, even not say bridging the gap, because then if our children are lured by technology, how can we use technology to lure them to read, but also not rely on interpretation of pictures,
Ofentse,
but also just relying on the words as well.
Unfortunately, we have run out of time, but a very good point that, we need to work our minds around the traditional sense of reading as well. We could use technology to achieve this. Ofentse Molefe is a school principal and she's an academic as well. So we're talking about World Book Day. So maybe that's a goal before you go to bed, or try and get to bed, pick up a book.